If you take a cricket ball, soak it in kerosene, set it alight and fire it from a cannon, you'll get some idea of the demon's speed. When he bowls, there's a smell of burnt leather in the air. His mighty thighs lifted like the pistons of the Melbourne Express. His boots hammered the ground like a mob of wild horses. Angry blasts of air whistled through his nostrils. The ball left his hand like a red streak. The consensus of opinion afterwards was that it was on the off, but no one really saw it.
I just love bowling quick. Every day I wanted to bowl. All I worried about was bowling quick. I didn't worry about trying to swing this or trying to do this leg cutter, all this sort of. You only did that if nothing else worked, and that was a waste of time. Just bowl quick. If you bowl quick enough, like I said before, I don't care who they were, it's pretty hard to play.
The feeling you get when you let go of that ball and you see the batsman jump and you see the keeper go up, take a high one above his head, it's a pretty awesome feeling, and it does pump you up, and then probably the next ball you might try and bowl a bit too quick. So you just got to pull your head back in a little bit and just say, okay, let's just bowl that nice line length again. Because the thing that does get you pace is certainly when you're running in, your approach at the crease and the way that you follow through.
It's always good to bowl fast. It feels good to me rather than anyone else. But it just feels good to me when I run in, charge, and eventually I'm going to be slow after 5-6 years' time, then I'll be slowing down. So as long as I'm young, I'm full of energy and I can bowl fast, so I like to keep on doing it.
They call it express pace. It's bowling at over 150 kilometres an hour, a speed that intimidates and frightens batsmen and brings cricket crowds alight. When the contest is on, the fear is often palpable, the threat and the danger real. These hostile men who tear in to hurl a hard red ball into the pitch before it rears up on the batsman just 20 metres away are the kings of speed.
You can hear it in the crowd. When a fast bowler is throwing the ball, you can almost hear the people, they suddenly sit up straight in their seats where they might have been slumping before, and there's a bit of a ooh, just sort of that low ooh goes around the ground.
There is nothing more exciting than a fast bowler who gets angry against a batsman who's pretty good. I mean, people love to see the hook shot played. And, for me, if you ask me what I'd like to see right now against the Australian batting lineup, which is a very aggressive batting lineup, I'd like to see Shoaib Akhtar, because that he's going to try and bounce Ricky Ponting, and Ponting's going to try and hit him out the ground. Same applies to Hayden, same applies to Gilchrist. They're going to take him on, and that's just a wonderful spectacle. Just can't get better than that.
It is wonderfully exciting to watch these guys come hurtling in and let it go and look at the speed gun and see what sort of times they're clocking, it's a terrific part of the game, and I'm glad that we've got fit, strong people who can do that, because people go and watch that, and Shane Warne has left a wonderful legacy with his leg spin bowling, and we see that with the kids all want to bowl like Shane Warne, but now there's a good crop who want to be speedsters like Brett Lee and Shoaib Akhtar, and I reckon that's terrific for the game.
From my perspective, being probably brought up in Perth with fast wickets and the Wacker in its heyday in the 70s, I think there was nothing better than going to the cricket and occasionally going side on, and when you'd see Lilly and Thompson and the ball just fly through the marsh and the slips cordons, I think that was just great for cricket. It was just magnificent to see just how quick they could bowl.
There's always a real hush around the grounds when someone is bowling fast, whether it was Ambrose, or playing against Akram or something like that. It was always a real hush around the ground, and you get that similar sort of feel when Brett bowls now, and everyone's on the edge of their seats, knowing that something possibly could happen any ball. So it's a good feeling, particularly when you're standing in slips to one of them.
Got him, yes, beautifully taken. It's left that time. Brett Lee has struck.
Most fast bowlers that I've known, the very good ones, they've got a bit of white line fever in them, I think. and they cross that white line, and they're not out to deliberately hurt anybody, but they do know they can intimidate, and they use that as a psychological weapon.
It's just knowing you've got that power, to dominate. It's a funny thing. You would never know it unless you were there, unless you're a quick bowler and the opposition. I mean, they honestly had fear in their eyes. I don't care who they were, how good they thought they were, whatever. Even when you play international, mate, it's not a good feeling to know that you look around and the blokes are standing over there on the hill sort of thing, the slips are, they're miles back, and you think, how in the hell's the ball going to carry there? If it's carrying that far, it won't want to hit me on the way through. If I miss it, I make sure it misses me because it's going to hurt. So and there's nobody in front of the stumps, so you're thinking, God, what's going on here? And the bowler's sitting there with an angry look on his face saying, just get in there and do your best.
The fearsome speed of the fastest men in cricket has made them legends. Long has the debate raged over who was the quickest of all time. Names like Spofforth, Larwood, Lindwall, Tyson, Thompson, Lilly, Roberts and Holding are often mentioned. We will never know the answer, but we do know they all had raw pace, and they all had the batsmen ducking and jumping whenever they had to face one of them.
I honestly think that people like seeing a batsman struggling and struggling to lay bat on ball, getting hit a little bit. Not dangerous, like getting hit in the ribs or getting hit on the shoulder. I honestly think that people do enjoy seeing that and seeing that intimidation factor.
It is ferocious. I mean, I just admire these guys so much. But I admire a previous generation even a little bit more because they didn't have the benefit of helmets.
Frank Tyson once wrote that the ball leaves their hands and covers the regulation 22 yards with such velocity that it defies normal human reflexes. The fact is, a 160 km/h delivery reaches the batsman in 0.438 of a second. According to research, it takes a batsman about 0.3 of a second to see the ball, predict its course and decide on a stroke. It takes a further 0.3 of a second to perform the swing. It means the batsman needs to start reacting before the ball is delivered.
If you relate to 160 kilometres an hour as a release, it's not that a great distance between you and the batsman. The one thing that is evident is the fact that the batsman doesn't typically have enough time to react to a ball. So they have to read cues off the bowler as they're in the delivery action. Now, the key to that, of course, is that the better bowlers, those that really are express, they sometimes can put the ball straight through the batsman before they've had time to react at all.
It's just to give you an idea of the difference in pace. Lee is the fastest, and he's the red delivery. Gillespie just behind him in blue, if you like, and then McGrath at the back. So you can see the difference there, how much quicker Lee gets to the batsman than McGrath. Oh, well bowled. That went past his nose at 143 kilometres an hour.
So looking at that graphic we had there, in sort of layman's terms, sitting back in front of your viewing machine, Lee is a metre quicker than Gillespie, means he gets onto the batsman that much quicker, and 2 metres quicker than McGrath. That is a considerable amount. Might not sound much when you've got the old scale 22-yard pitch, but Lee is pacey.
Well, it's always surprised me that you do have enough time. Somehow your body reacts, and I mean, occasionally you'll get it wrong, and he has hit me in the head, and he has hit me, there's been the body blows, and there's been certainly body blows in the nets against the guys like Brett Lee, and occasionally the body just fails you, and often that's when you're thinking about too many other things, or you are concentrating on, wow, he's bowling quick today, how am I going to get in behind this one? And you might just intimidate slightly more. But generally, you do react, and as I say, you surprise yourself. And I think overall, I've been known as a big foot mover when I bat. Your movements are a lot smaller, you don't have time to make the bigger ones.
It's just years and years of repetition, and I mean, that's why you spend a lot of time building up your technique as a as a youngster. And then you spend years and years in the nets, and it just comes from years of practice.
Batsmen have got to do a huge amount of pre-movement before they face up to a guy like this. You know, they've got to be really in position before virtually the ball is bowled, because the reaction time and movement time don't allow them to any luxury of thinking, well, is this full or is this short? I'll go forward or I'll go back. So they've really got to predetermine a little bit before the ball is delivered.
I think pre-planning's the key, yeah, and we don't know too much about this, but it seems to be a pre-planned structure that we typically know where the bowler typically bowls. You equally then know how you will stroke the ball to different parts of the ground. I wouldn't suggest that they decide to hook before the ball's released, but I think there's a lot of pre-planning goes into quality batting against high-speed bowling.
That's a good bouncer. Nothing wrong with the location on that occasion.
In accumulating more than 5,000 test runs, dynamic opening batsman Michael Slater has long been regarded as one of the finest exponents of batting to pace bowling. Facing a hostile Shoaib Akhtar in Brisbane, he once smashed 169 runs, but not before overcoming a barrage of bouncers.
It was just a contest the whole time Shoaib was on. He was, I'm sure at times trying to kill me and then trying to get me out. And there was a pull shot that I played when I would have been about 60. I'd been evading most of his shorter deliveries because they tend to be a yard or two quicker, because they're a genuine effort ball. And there was this one time, and I was still saying to myself, get out of the way of it. It's a risky shot to try and pull. You could end up in hospital or back in the pavilion.
Great shot. How well is Michael Slater seeing the ball?
And I just stood up instinctively and pulled it to the fence, and it was like, how did I do that? Where did that come from? And it's those moments that you just get such a buzz because you surprise yourself. And I mean, there's no training. You don't get in front of a bowling machine at 100 miles an hour and try and stand up and pull them. You'd be a nutcase. So it's a lot of fun when something like that comes off.
To give some idea of what a batsman goes through when facing express pace, Michael agreed to face Brett Lee in the nets whilst wearing a heart rate monitor and helmet camera. The pace of the deliveries would be measured by twin microwave speed guns. Michael, going into the nets to face someone like Brett Lee, is it just another day at the batting crease, another bit of practice?
Try and look at it that way, but it's certainly not. When you've got a guy like Brett who is such a disciplined trainer himself, every delivery he bowls, he's trying to get something out of it, which is the reason he's playing for Australia. And just because he's Brett Lee, he's another 20 kilometres quicker than most guys. So it's a major test, and just like facing a guy like him in the middle, whether it's a Shoaib Akhtar. I haven't played a test match against Brett, obviously, but it just brings the best out in yourself, or it certainly gets the adrenaline pumping, which makes your feet move just that little quicker. First time I faced Brett in the nets this summer, so there's no doubt the heart's going to be racing. And because we're in indoors where the ball tends to bounce a little bit more, it comes off quicker. I think he's got the easier job at this stage. I get asked, do you get scared? Well, the answer is no. You're on the verge of being scared, I suppose, the whole time, but you're never scared. It's your movements are twitchy, and if they're precise, you'll score well because the ball's coming quicker, it goes quicker. The reason I open the batting is that I'm a little sillier than most, and the reason I am a little sillier is I enjoy that contest. It's such a challenge. It's not often you come up against a guy who can bowl 95 miles an hour consistently, or 150 odd kilometres an hour, and I just really get a buzz out of it. There's no doubt the heart's racing. Mentioned this word adrenaline, that's just flowing more than it would for a slower bowler, but it brings the best out of you in yourself, and it's surprising how you'll react, whether it's evading a bouncer or you know, all of a sudden a pull shot will come out of the woodwork. When you're saying to yourself, don't pull, don't hook, you'll just play one instinctively and surprise yourself. And that's what that challenge brings out.
Being the off-season, Brett Lee warned us that he would not be able to bowl flat out. His pace was also affected by a shortened run-up. However, the contest is irresistible, and a young speedster constantly inquires about the speed of each delivery. Before long, he's sending them down at a shade under 145 kilometres an hour. No doubt spurred on by the presence of the speed gun, but the key to express pace is more than just motivation.
They compare fast bowling to a golf swing too. They say like a guy like Tiger Woods, who's not a real big bloke, but he hits the ball as far as anybody. Probably the furthest in the world driving-wise. It all comes down to his action, his momentum going through the ball, and just the way that he times the ball. You know, fast bowlers have to be pretty coordinated, I think. So it all comes down to timing and how balanced a person is when they approach a crease.
It's all to do with the rhythm of their run-up, the height of their jump. Obviously, the power is the key thing, but and the wrist snap at the end. They're all compiled to make it a very important sort of sequential action.
The more quickly you can rotate the arm, obviously, the quicker you can bowl. Now, obviously, you then need to put that together with a nice, efficient but quick run-up, good balance during the delivery stride. But then if you can do those things, in actual fact retain accuracy, then the quicker you can rotate your arm, assuming your arm is of reasonable length, then the more speed you'll produce.
I think it's all in their genetics. I think that you're born with a certain amount of muscle fibre, whether it's red or white, and the power athletes tend to have a little bit more red fibre. And I think it's not much you can do. You can develop what you've got, but you can't change the ratio. And I suspect that the people like Brett Lee and Shoaib Akhtar, Dennis Lillee, Jeff Thompson had a high percentage of power sort of fibre in their muscles, and that makes a difference.
I think Brett is a quicker rotator of the arm. I mean, he tends to come in and bowl with a fairly, structured action and rotates the arm very quickly. Shoaib has some peculiarities, has been well written in the newspapers with reference to his elbow. He, in actual fact, can hyperextend at the elbow far more than most bowlers can. So he actually then can get almost another lever into his system. And he does this, people say illegally, but the comment is that he, in actual fact, naturally can hyperextend his elbow. And that's the reason he's allowed to continue playing. It's a natural part of his arm. It's not something that he does that is illegal.
I'm not blessed with the normal joints, so I can't help my joints the way that it moves. It's natural. I'm born with that hyperextension and hypermobility. I can't help it. So I proved that. Then again, the Australian came in the field. They helped me out. Really thankful to Human Movement Department back in Perth, and they really stood up for me. And thanks to Dennis Lillee, he just stood by to me. He says nothing wrong, nothing we can do about it. They gotta let you play cricket because I can't see any chance you to bowl with a straight arm because you got an abnormal elbow and you got an abnormal shoulder.
The bowler who terrorised Bradman's team in the Bodyline series of the 30s, Harold Larwood, was officially included in the Guinness Book of Records bowling at 93 miles an hour, about 150 k's. Wesley Hall was said to have been timed at 91 miles an hour in practice. But evidence of speeds from that era is notoriously unreliable. Several pacemen were said to bowl at over 90 miles an hour, but no one really knows for sure. Until the regular use of speed guns, every generation of cricketers had their own theories.
I'd have to say my time, Michael Holding may well have been just as quick as Jeff Thompson. I mean, there certainly wasn't much in it, but there's no doubt in my mind that Jeff Thompson was the most lethal fast bowler that I ever saw or played against. And in my opinion, he was the only one that I decided was unhookable.
Gow attempting to hook, there's a big appeal, and Gow is on his way.
Of all the people that I faced, Tomo, every now and again produced a ball that was faster than anything else. So Jeff Thompson's my number one. Michael Holding, in my time, was consistently the fastest. I mean, he bowled fast all the time. His speeds were right up there and they stayed there. So he didn't surprise you as much as Tomo did. And I think of all the research that I've done, and the watching of the videos and things that I've seen, it seems to me that the other person that would be in that bracket would be Frank Tyson. I mean, everyone I spoke to that I've spoken to that faced Frank Tyson says that he was just lightning fast.
There was no doubt that Frank Typhoon Tyson's speed was raw and unbridled. He played only 17 tests in a career plagued by injury, but still took 76 wickets at an average of just 18. Apart from taking wickets, Tyson had a penchant for quoting Shakespeare or Wordsworth to batsmen.
It seemed to me he had two parts to his career. He had the long run, the sort of Frank Typhoon Tyson off his long run, and then he went on to the short run, and apparently it made very little difference. And if anyone's ever had a look at Frank Tyson's shoulders, you'll know where it all comes from. But, I mean, he was obviously super powerful. To this day, he's a very strong man. And it seemed to me, just watching the footage, that he tried to bowl every ball as fast as he possibly could. There was no question of him trying to settle into a line or length or trying to swing it or anything like that. It was just flat out.
The first bowler to be genuinely put under the academic microscope was the great West Australian Dennis Lillee. After recuperating from crippling back injuries, Lillee's bowling speed was calculated by the University of WA. In 1975, it was measured at 148.5 kilometres an hour. The following year, in another study, he was apparently recorded at 154.8 kilometres an hour.
Dennis was pretty quick. The first time I really heard about Dennis Lillee, we were in on the India-South Africa tour, 69-70. So we didn't play any Sheffield Shield games as they were then. And when I got back, Les Favell, who was captain of South Australia at that stage, said, "Oh, there's a young bloke in Perth who annihilated us." I think Dennis got 6 or 7 for not many. 20, it was in the 20s, I think. I mean, Les Favell had seen them all. He'd seen Tyson, he'd seen Wes Hall, not sure that he saw Charlie Griffiths, but he'd seen a lot of quick bowling, so he knew what quick was. And he said Dennis Lillee's pretty quick. He didn't ever say that he was up there with Tyson or anything like that. But so I missed that time. Then I would have faced him a couple of times in the, before he had the back injury. He was pretty quick, no doubt about that. But I don't think he was quite as quick as Tomo.
Beautiful delivery from Lillee. That was virtually unplayable.
For me, Lillee was up there with Andy Roberts as the two most difficult to handle on an ongoing basis. They were two great fast bowlers, but both of them fell into what I would describe as the third rung in terms of pace. Lillee, who, if you watched him, he developed all sorts of things in his bowling. He bowled leg cutters. He tried to swing the ball, although he wasn't a big swinger of it, but he tried to swing it. So he was trying to do things, more of a thinking bowler, and didn't just rely on pace. And it just seemed to me that wasn't that bothered if Tomo down the other end was bowling deliveries faster than he was. But he was faster, right? And he was also quite, how would you say, furious. I mean, I think that he looked nasty. Dennis Lillee, standing there watching Lillee run in, with all those gold chains around his neck and that huge, great droopy moustache, and the aggressive nature that he had. I mean, he'd finish his run up right here, right in front of you, and really look at you and try and get you to eyeball him. And he was into that sort of aspect of fast bowling. So a great fast bowler, but not quite as fast as some of the others.
Well, I don't think I've ever seen a supposedly recognised opening batsman play a shot like that in my life. It looked more like a Woody Allen sketch, did that?
Other fast bowlers will always be probably as fast. Or Michael Holding is as quick, Andy Roberts is as quick, but they haven't got it all together. They've got the armoury in terms of pace, but from the psychological point of view and the fearsome and just frightening batsmen out, this is where Dennis seems to score above all others.
He's not frightened to bowl bounces at anyone, which I think is great for a fast bowler. He's as mean as you like. He snarls at batsmen. He doesn't mean it all the time. He looks around at us and smiles, making sure the batsman doesn't see exactly that little smirk that comes on his face, but he gives the batsman the impression that all he wants is blood or wickets.
Oops. Yeah, quite right too. I think and he's going to get a warning. He's going to give it a bowl. He's already given me one in the earth. He does that one in.
In the mid-70s, Australia gained a lethal pace partner for Dennis Lillee. With his unorthodox slingshot action, Jeff Thomson generated furious pace that terrorised and intimidated, especially the touring English side of 1974-75.
Good delivery there from Jeff Thomson.
I can remember when Colin Cowdrey made his comeback and was brought out, I think, at about 42 years of age, and I got to know Colin very well in my time at Kent, and he just talks in awe of the bowling of Lillee and Thomson on that particular day on a very, very quick and bouncy whacker wicket.
Thomson said very little. He was almost the opposite of Dennis, said very little. But had the surprise of pace that every now and again when his action, which was a slightly different action, he used to sort of wind behind his back and you couldn't see the ball. His arm disappeared right behind his back and then it was almost like a catapult, let the thing go. When it did click, it was unbelievable. And when he really got it right, I mean, he got it right in the second innings against me in Brisbane, that same test match, where he knocked my leg stump out of the ground with a delivery that was absolutely, I mean, it was that fast and it was dead straight and it just swung in a little bit. I never even got close.
I was a bit of a quiet achiever, I think. Dennis used to, he was always more outward expression, whereas I was a quiet assassin sort of thing. I believe that I just kept it quiet, did the business, and didn't let them know what was going on, a bit like a poker face. So, I mean, that was even more worrying than thinking, gee, is he cranky with me, is he not, or whatever. Sometimes I showed a little bit of anger, but normally if you're on a day, bowling really quick, you didn't have to say a word.
The one that had to me, the unlimited pace, who was really the quickest, probably Tomo. But that's in no disgrace to Michael Holding, Andy Roberts, Dennis Lillee, etc., and the others. He just seemed to have that little bit of brute power and strength that the others were more rhythm, etc. But Tomo just seemed to produce that ball out of nowhere that was one bounce over the keeper's head and into the side screen.
Second test match of the 74-5 series, and Jeff Thomson was bowling downwind, so he's bowling from the outer end. And he bowled the short one, and as I described earlier, when Tomo bowls the bouncer, it usually goes fairly high, and with the bounce in Perth, it just absolutely took off. Wasn't one of those though. It was one of like a 747 taking off, like that. You see, Rodney leapt in the air, but he had absolutely no price getting it, and we all turned around to see where it bounced, and it went kaboom like that, half volleyed the bloody fence and sideboard at the whacker. Now, that was all right for us, we loved that. But the mistake that the English batsman who was facing me, he also turned and watched it go. And when he saw where it landed, you could just see the colour drain out of his face. I mean, and obviously his thought was, crikey, that could have been straight at me. And I always thought that delivery probably had the biggest psychological effect on that 74-5 series.
That was Tony Greig. I bowled a short ball at him. It didn't go over his head, but Greig is tall, so he stood up and it went through here and it went over marshes, still climbing, and half volleyed the Sydney Cricket Ground side screen. That'll give you an idea. I've done that in Perth. So if next time you're at the Sydney Cricket Ground, anyone that's watching this tape, just envisage a bowler bowling a short ball, going past the batsman's chin, going over the keeper and still going and hitting the side screen. Try and do that. That'll give you an idea of the heat that was on the ball.
You enjoyed that even though it was 4 byes?
Oh, yeah, because Greggy had plenty of guts, but he even sort of went...
That's a good delivery. He's got to be on his way, and he is. A tremendous delivery there from Jeff Thomson.
Well, I bowled a fair few fast sessions, at different places, that you wouldn't suspect. I mean, they talk about the one in Barbados when I played over there. I was cranky that day because our blokes, it was like the Aussie second side, the World Series that started, so I went over there with Simo. Simo's captain, I was vice-captain. And they had their best players playing for them. Their World Series players could play against us. So they had, Michael, Andy Roberts, Crofty, Joel Garner, all these blokes shooting in at our guys, and they were putting them in hospital, they were hitting them, you know, they were breaking fingers and breaking jaws and all that. And I just got cranky this afternoon, and I thought, well, I'm going to do is return the favour here. And you just let them go, and I bowled really quick.
Hit him.
I can remember John Edrich, who was sure of getting to the end of his career, had just been through a West Indies series and came down to Australia and got hit in the ribs by Thompson. And he went to 4 different hospitals trying to establish that he did have a broken rib. And at the end of the day, they kept telling him, well, at the end of the day, they found one, but they kept saying they couldn't, there wasn't one. And he said, look, I've got to tell you, nothing hurts this much, and it's not broken. So he found a broken rib. So there was an example of a really tough character, one of the toughest England batsmen of all time, who at the end of his career, was quite happy to have a broken rib and go home.
Didn't handle that too capably, Dilly.
I played for Queensland against Victoria, that was at the Gabba. And Redpath was opening the batting, but he was playing with us for Australia there, so Redders was opening their batting. They had a fair side. I'm just trying to think what I did. I took 7 for not many. I got 5 for in the first stick, 60-odd runs not out. So I was having a weekend, and then I bowled, come out straight off batting, I was pumped up and bowled like the wind. And, mate, it was like a shooting gallery. 7 for bugger all. I ended up with 12 wickets for the match. That was quick.
He certainly missed that one. Sorry, says Thompson.
Half the time I don't think Tomo knew where they were going, which was scarier because he had a general area he was going to bowl, but he was that quick and his action was so unorthodox. He picked it up late because the ball was so far behind his back. Most guys running with the ball in front of them.
The bouncer and just pointed it out. That was a good one because it was over the middle and off stump.
There was a quick day at Wellington, a quick test match at Wellington. It was rain affected, but I remember playing at the Basin there. Martin Crowe, it was his first game. Well, he came in, and I don't think he saw any ball. I hit his helmet, and it just fell apart, all these screws and bolts and God knows what else come out of it. He had a towel, he used to wear a scarf. That flew off. It looked like his head fell to bits. It looked like Arnold Schwarzenegger in that movies, all the bits of that card everywhere. And he just looked around. I think he was happy. He was still standing alive. And next ball was just straight off and clean bowling. That was his introduction to me and Test cricket.
I don't believe that I've seen more ferocious or quicker bowling than I saw that day with Jeff Thompson at the Wacker. And poor old Colin Cowdrey, 42 years of age, come out, had just been added to the English party, came out of he said he was sitting there having his Christmas lunch, preparing with the family, and all of a sudden gets a call and, and a couple of days later he's out in Perth playing against Jeff Thompson on a very quick Wacker wicket. I don't believe I've seen anything quicker that day than Jeff Thompson.
Crowd is screaming as Thompson comes in from the members' end. He's out! Great catch!
Second dig, I bowled like the wind, and Michael, remember, was night watchman, and the next morning he was there, not out. He'd only faced a couple of balls the previous night. Well, I hit his middle stump, and I remember the stump basically went all the way back to Marshy. You see stumps go back a little way. This will give you an idea how far it went. It went back to where he's keeping. And that's a long, long way. And Michael just looked around. He had that big afro like Richard Pryor in those days when he was young, and he just looked around. And I think he thought, thank heavens that missed me.
Thompson bowling very fast at the moment. Up in the block, big appeal there for LBW. He's given him out. Justice has been done. Miller, LBW, bowled Thompson, and England all out for 237.
In 1975, a group of academics from the West Australian University filmed the actions of Lillian Thompson along with West Indians Andy Roberts and Michael Holding during a test match at the WACA ground. Using high-speed cameras, they were able to calculate for the first time just how fast these express pace bowlers were.
Well, I think it was part of an ongoing study into fast bowling, and we really wanted to know how quick these guys actually bowled. And there weren't two better exponents around at the time than Jeff Thomson and Dennis Lillee. So I think we'd been investigating low back injuries and fast bowling and just the initial phase of it. And so we wanted to have a look at these guys actually bowling in the middle. And the WACA let us get out into the ground to do this filming. So that was a first, and it was a very exciting time.
It was a time when really no research had been done on fast bowling at all, and people were interested to see how quickly they actually could bowl. So quite simply, that was what it was for, was just test the speed of bowlers, to see what the differences were from different countries, and to see if different characteristics were related to different body types.
Dennis said, we knew the filming was going on, and he said, look, the third ball of my second over will be the quickest I bowl all day. And it was by about 10k an hour, or miles per hour in those days, and his slowest delivery for the whole day.
It was interesting. We thought the bigger people would naturally be the quickest, but the Thompsons of the world, that turned out to be very, very quick in those days, showed that it's the distance that you move the ball through. In other words, how far you can move the ball. So his action enabled him to put all his muscles on stretch. It enabled him to move the ball through a large displacement. And by doing that, he actually could achieve what a much taller bowler could do anyway.
Lillee, who was far from his best on that day, recorded a speed of 139 kilometres an hour. A young Michael Holding bowled at 148.54. Andy Roberts, who was also unwell, recorded a fastest of 150.67 kilometres an hour, whilst Jeff Thomson sent down one delivery officially timed at 160.45. This was acknowledged as the fastest delivery ever recorded and was to become the benchmark for the next 3 decades.
There's been a great deal of interest since that time, but now with Brett Lee and Shoaib Akhtar, obviously, you know, the speed of bowling has become very much an important part in international cricket again. But it's an exciting thing to think that somebody can bowl a ball at 100 miles an hour, and I have no doubt that during his career, quite often Jeff Thomson did that.
In 1979, using the same high-speed film cameras, a group of fast bowlers was assembled to contest the world's fastest bowler competition in Perth. They included Lillee and Thomson, Roberts and Holding, Imran Khan, Colin Croft, Garth LaRue and Richard Hadley. In near 40-degree heat, only 2 bowlers managed more than 140 kilometres an hour.
130.4, that's Dennis Lillee's fastest to date. Imran Khan, he's been pressing Thomson all day. That was quickish too. 139.1.
Michael Holding bowled at 141.3.
But it certainly looked pretty quick.
But it was Jeff Thomson who was consistently faster than anyone else. His quickest delivery was timed at 147.9 kilometres an hour, giving him an easy victory. He won the money for the fastest delivery and also for the most accurate bowler.
Oh, middle stump as well.
I wasn't even playing. It was the year I got banned from cricket. And Channel 9, the guys from 9 said, Tomo, you've got to go in this. You're the fastest bowler. You've got to win this. And I said, hang on, I'm not even playing. So I went in the bloody thing and won it. And all I've been doing is drinking beer, sitting on my backside for months.
Wayne Daniel with his 4th wicket.
Throughout the next decade, a new pace attack ruled the cricket world. The West Indies dominated all their opponents, using not just 2, but 4 express pace bowlers in their attack.
That is out, and Walters is out. LBW to Andy Roberts.
We first faced Roberts, Holding, Garner and Croft. And then when Andy Roberts dropped out, you had Malcolm Marshall came in there. And I mean, crikey's either of those quartets, you could probably toss a coin which of those quartets are the best, but it didn't matter which of those 4 you faced. It was tough as hell.
Ooh, nasty one.
To be exposed to that constant barrage, it really does mentally get them. And I saw guys that could, hold a bat and against a normal attack would be able to, average 15 to 20 in the tail, but these guys were certainly intimidated and they were worried about going out and batting.
And he's out. He's giving him...
When I was playing for South Australia against the West Indies, I was so thrilled that they used to say that they would target the best player. And Marshall got me in the side of the head, Malcolm Marshall got me in the side of the head, and I thought, gee, they must really rate me as a player for him to launch an assault. And that was a pretty nasty one, didn't really see it, and thankfully a helmet on and, you know, as well protected as I could be from a safety point of view, and flush in the side of the noggin and down you went. But when I woke up, I thought, gee, they must really rate me, yeah.
What are your recollections of facing Andy Roberts?
He was just a real quality bowler. You know, didn't say much, just got on with the job. But I think that the weapon that he had, in particular for my style of game, where I'd like to hook, was that he'd maybe allow you to get away with a hook shot, but then the next one will be twice as quick. And one day at the WACA, when I did have a cap on, I hooked him. And next ball, I thought it was the same delivery, went to hook, and it just brushed the side. It actually brushed the side of my cap. So I certainly put the hook shot in the cupboard for the rest of the day that day.
They're all a bit different. Where Andy used to bounce a bit, Michael used to slide a bit, because he used to sort of bowl off, didn't get a high delivery stride. But yeah, on his day, Michael was striding a couple of times here at Perth. In a one-day game, I remember that he was scary. But he was a nice bloke, Michael. Once in Sydney, he kept hitting me in the groin and in the stomach and so forth, and he came down and in his deep voice, he said, Stumpy, have you any children? And I said, why? And he said, I hope you have. Because he hit me that many times. So he was that sort of bloke, so he was a nice bloke.
I was never afraid to be hurt by a fast bowler. You know, I was there to do a job for the team and personally trying to get some runs. And when you're walking out there, you're probably trying to think of how they're trying to get you out, and you're obviously trying to think of where you can score runs. But I don't think I was ever, you know, physically intimidated by them. But just certainly, you know, that fear of failure, which tried to, you know, you try to get your best performance against them. And I think, as I say, you tried to think of how they were going to get you out.
For War and Wood, it was a morning of living dangerously.
Oh, and he got out of the way. He was on the move, and
both used body as well as bat to fend off the punishingly ruthless assault. Graham Wood surviving, but only just.
And that will be a bit painful.
The days of when there were unlimited bounces and no protective gear has to be the most intimidating eras of cricket. When they could bowl 8 bounces at you. You've got a batsman up that end for 8 balls, now it's 6 balls for a start. They've got no protective gear on or major protective gear on, and you can bowl 8 bounces if you like. So, you know, those eras, I noticed clashes, Queensland versus Western Australia, Dennis Lilly bowling to Viv Richards in a Gillette Cup match. Those scenes are just very intimidating, and it wouldn't be easy with the men that were playing in those eras.
Rod Marsh just about to throw it up.
Oh, it's hit him somewhere around about the shoulder or neck. Oh, no comment needed.
As a batsman, if you get too much of that sort of thing, there comes a time when you can break. And I've seen a few batsmen, great batsmen, get to the end of their tether because of persistent short pitch bowling. And let me tell you, there was a lot of bounces. When the ball was around your ears, so to get a half volley in that era, you know, whether it be Thompson or Lilly and Roberts and Holding, all that mob, I mean, to get a half volley was like Christmas time. It very seldom happens. So you better be able to protect your head.
During this era, when the hits to the body often outnumbered hits to the boundary, the dangers for batsmen became all too evident. Wearing pads, a protective box and flimsy gloves, batsmen often went into the contest with nothing more than a cloth cap on their head. All can remember teammates who were felled, like a dashing young South Australian batsman called David Hooks, who took on Andy Roberts, one time too many.
And he's in trouble.
Hooks, he used to hook pretty well, and then Andy Roberts, who was, I consider, one of the best bowlers that I ever faced, used to have a couple of bounces, one to be quicker and one to be slower. And Hooksy put the first one away, and then the second one hit him flush on the jaw. And I remember they carried him in, and he had a towel around his face. And they took the towel off, and there was, of course, there's blood, and in the blood you could see little shivers of bone.
Peter Tui, that was the first test, and he got a bad one from Roberts. And the wicket, I remember the game vividly. We lost the toss on the first morning. The wicket was a little bit wet, a bit damp, and one went through and hit Rats right above the nose, and it opened up, and you're obviously very, very concerned for him. And the interesting part about that story was that he had this terrible gash in his head, and I can remember them laying him down when they got him back into the dressing room, and we said, you okay, you're going to be, basically pulled through, and his comment to us was, my head's okay, my hand's buggered. He'd broken his hand the over before and no one was aware of it.
Oh, and that's hit him a nasty blow. In fact, it's gone onto the stumps, I think, the ball.
I saw Jeff Lawson get hit or played in the game at the Wacker. I think it was Curtly Ambrose hit him in the jaw, flush, and that was a sickening blow, and Henry went down and he looked like he was out for the count, and, good mate. You just don't want to see that happen, and that certainly is etched in my memory.
The helmet has become the most essential piece of equipment in world cricket. Its development came about during the World Series cricket era after the Hooks incident.
As you get a bit older, you start to think a little bit more about the consequences. You've, at that stage, seen a McCosker felled in a test match where he's had his jaw broken. You've seen some pictures of guys around the world who've been hit in the head. And, I was there when Chatfield was dead on the field. So, of course, you start to think about it a little bit. For mine, it was the reason why we started developing crash helmets. I mean, we came down to World Series cricket. I was 32 years of age, and there were lots of others around my vintage. I've got to tell you, there was no shame going down the road to get the people who knew a bit about crash helmets to develop them.
6 again. He's hit that one. That's a better shot. That was a glorious shot, that one, from a young man making a comeback.
What they came up with initially was just an ordinary motorcycle, the lightest one they could find. But that started it all, and of course you can imagine what that did to the Thompsons and the Lillys of this world. I mean, they saw a crash helmet, and that was it. It was a target as far as they were concerned, and away they went. And I did get hit in the head.
And he's got him on the helmet, I think. Could be the first strike, and Lilly, the man to do it. A historic moment, I think, in that Dennis Lilly, the first bowler to strike the helmet.
Nowadays, batsmen wear padding to protect the body. Their helmets have face protection, gloves help prevent broken fingers, and arm guards protect the arms. But sometimes even that isn't enough when a bowler can send them down at over 150 kilometres an hour. Just ask Joe Angel, who had his arm broken by an express delivery from Brett Lee in 1999. Or Alex Tudor, who had another ball from Lee go through his visor in 2002, leaving him with a nasty gash over the eye.
Oh, that's going a nasty one. That's nasty. Through the helmet. And he's in a bad way, unfortunately.
I don't think blood should be a part of the game. I think that batsmen do get hurt, and that's just all part of sport. People get hurt in football, people get hurt in hockey. If you're playing a contact sport, people do get injured, and that's just, that unfortunate thing. And I mean, I actually hate the sight of blood. I don't crave for it. I don't go out there to intentionally try and hurt a batsman. Sure, you might try and scare a batsman and try and get his wicket, but the most important thing is if you're working towards that last goal, which is to try and get that batsman out, that's the most important thing. But I mean, there's been times when batsmen have got injured, and I've actually felt really bad after the game, and make sure that either go and call them up. Or when Alex Tudor got hit, when it went straight through his grill, which is a bit of an unfortunate thing. I made sure he was okay. I went and caught up with him after the game, and he was getting stitched up, and he's holding my hand. I'm going, sorry, mate. He's going, nah, it's okay. It's all part of it. It'd be pretty wrong to say that it shocked me more than it shocked him, but I was pretty shaken up about it because he's laying on the ground. There's all these blood, and I mean, it's a terrible thing to think about, but there's all this blood spurting out, and I thought it killed him. I thought he's in a lot of trouble, but yeah, he got it stitched up and he was fine.
Batsmen have helmets. They have every bit of protection available, and yet they still worry about intimidation, intimidatory bowling, and it's a bit ridiculous, really.
You don't have much sympathy for them?
Not at all. I know as a batsman, as a tail-end batsman, I get bounced, and I wouldn't have it any other way. I'm more than happy to cop 10 in a row, 20 in a row, because that's part of the game.
We're always joshing with the fast bowlers and telling them how they're bloody mad, and you've got to be mad to be a fast bowler. And I was telling Andy Roberts this one day after he'd retired and I'd retired, and I was telling Andy this, and he looked at me, he said, Ian, he said, there's only one person who is sillier than a fast bowler. I said, oh yeah, who's that, Andy? He said, the opening batsman who come out and face him.
If a guy gets seriously injured, like if a ball gets through the helmet grill, I must say I am a bit concerned. But if I see a guy getting hit on the shoulder or in the ribs, or I must say I'm not overly concerned, because we're all men playing a man's game, and I believe if you're out there, you should cop the good with the bad. An old analogy, I suppose. There's a 2 bounces and over rule. I mean, if they're going to be dead serious about it, there should be the 2 cover drives and over rule. If a batsman hits you for 2 cover drives, umpire should say, well, that's enough. They're not allowed to bowl two bounces, so you're not allowed to hit 2 cover drives. Or no more than 2 cover drives. So I'd like to see that come in, but I don't think so. I don't think it'll happen.
Another ripper. Not getting a result, but 151.9. The crowd roaring here.
The current interest in express bowling was revived by a young Pakistani paceman, Shoaib Akhtar, who was timed in the late 90s at 154 kilometres an hour.
Oh, he's got him, it's well bowled, beautifully bowled.
About a year later, Australia's Brett Lee was timed in his first test at the same speed. Throughout 2000, the two consistently bowled at speeds in excess of 150, pushing each other until they both bowled at 156 kilometres an hour.
Oh, and right up in the block hole, so that one 156.2 kilometres an hour, and that's as fast as he's ever bowled.
Meanwhile, other bowlers started breaking through the 150 kilometre an hour barrier. South Africa's Nanty Hayward stopped the speed gun at 154.4. New Zealand's Shane Bond also joined the club with a 151 kilometre an hour delivery, as did another South African bowler, Makhaya Ntini. The 6th bowler to join this exclusive express pace club was Australian Jason Gillespie, who peaked at 153.9.
Big shout there, and out first ball. Beautiful bowling from Jason Gillespie, who's now on a hat-trick.
It's nice to sort of look up and see that you bowled 150 plus. I mean, yeah, I'm not going to lie to you, it was nice, but it's not something you go and specifically set out to do. There's a lot of factors in being able to achieve that sort of speed. I think the way the ball's coming out on the day, favourable conditions, and guys like Brett and Shoaib can do it pretty consistently. Someone like myself, I'd have to really push through and go as hard as I can, and and it hurts a little bit at times if I try to achieve that sort of mark. But it's not something you go out to achieve every game you play.
I enjoy it when they have their quick spells. You get there, and because I commentate and that, and you get there and see them bowling quick, and you see the batsmen hopping around. It brings back memories. But the thing is, I think this day and age, it lacks a lot. There's only Shoaib turns up every now and then and bowls a sharp spell. Brett Lee bowls quick in spells. He'll tell you that himself, not consistently. And there's not many others. I mean, when we played in our era, there was an era of fast bowlers galore, when a few of those blokes I just mentioned before, and then you throw in your Imran cards, and then all the blokes around Australia. There was lunatics running around here trying to hit everybody all the time, apart from Lily and myself. And then all the other teams always seemed to have quick bowlers around the place. So there's a barrage of fast bowlers.
Oh, what a quick finish to the over. 3 very good deliveries.
The introduction of the radar gun has increased the interest in express pace because for the first time, viewers have a reference for just how much speed each bowler is generating with his deliveries.
The most popular form of speed measurement at the moment is microwave technology.
And it's just basically 2 radars which send out a microwave beam and will detect any movement within that beam.
The speed gun, to me, I think is a terrific thing for the public. Might be good for the viewers sitting at home, but it doesn't matter a tinker's curse for the players. But also, you know, I've always said I don't need any speed gun, I don't need any computer to tell me that the guy that I'm facing is fast. Crikey's, if I'm, 20 yards away or whatever that is in metres away, I bloody well know. I better know it's fast, otherwise I'm in deep trouble.
So how sure can you be these days that when we've recorded speeds of, say, 160 and 161 kilometres an hour, that those are the real speeds?
Well, these speed guns get sent away to their manufacturers on a regular basis to get calibrated, and they come back with calibration certificates, and they're all certified technicians, obviously, that do this for us, and we obviously know if we're out or not, because we know what to expect nowadays from the bowlers, and they're pretty close.
Gone. It's a quick delivery. 150.5. Stephen Fleming's up.
When Brett's on a really good spell, I've got butterflies in my stomach, and I mean it excites the hell out of me. I love it.
Oh, and that one does bounce, and that's it. He's caught behind. Yes, he's caught behind. Another very fast delivery.
They time them differently now. I mean, these speed guns are gimmicks. I mean, yes. I mean, you can even query the coppers when they book you on the road, but the blokes will tell you the technicians that set them up. They're just, it's only a guideline for the punters that go and watch, and it's not accurate. No, they only time it out of the hand. I mean, you sound like I'm a bloke trying to protect a record. Well, I bowled bloody quick, and I think I bowled quicker than these blokes.
In 1999, Dennis Lillee had written about a sensational young speedster who was about to burst onto the world stage. That young man lived up to all the hype when, with his 4th Test delivery, he took a wicket.
And he's got him. First wicket in Test cricket for Brett Lee, and he's done it by hitting the stumps.
He ended up with 5 for the innings and produced a top speed of 154.1 kilometres an hour.
I've been waiting since I was 9 years old to play Test cricket. It's been my dream to wear that baggy green cap. I'm there with guys who I've watched on TV growing up, and I think, well, I'm just going to go out there and just give them my best shot. Don't be nervous. Don't go out there and hold back. Just go and be nice and positive and just enjoy it, because it's just a game of cricket. So I've walked out there, and yeah, I mean, it was a pretty exciting day for me.
Well, I was actually in Melbourne. Mates of three of my good mates, we always go to Melbourne for the Boxing Day Test. It's been a bit of a tradition now. And we'd already booked the flights, and then we found out Brett had been picked, so it was a bit of an added bonus. And we're actually sitting in the outer at the MCG. I actually get goosebumps when I tell this story, but when he came in that first over, and I think it was 4th ball, and the batsman played on, I think I was first out of my seat, dropped the pie and the beer. And but no, it was great to see him. There was a big build-up before that Test match about this new young fast bowler, and I was quite nervous for him, hoping he'd do well, but things worked out very well.
Oh, and that's well bowled. Big appeal. Yes, got him out. LBW first ball. Brett Lee. Beautiful delivery. Bang on target. Fast, furious, and dead straight. Oh, he's hit him in there. This is out. Yes, he's taken it. That's the end of Srinath. He's got another one. Oh, what a day. 5 wickets on debut. Brett Lee has brought the MCG alive.
Brett Lee's enthusiasm for the game stemmed from his older brother Shane, who captained New South Wales and represented Australia in 45 one-day internationals.
Shane came home, and Shane was about 10 at first, and I would have been like 7. Came home and asked Mum and Dad if he could learn how to play cricket. And Mum and Dad said, don't play cricket, it's a pretty boring sport, you know. Play soccer or football or something like that, which would be over in about an hour or so. Thinking, you know, they'd hate to sit down in the field watching 6 hours of play. So Shane left and went back to school and didn't really sort of mention cricket for about the next 2 years. Came home when he was 12 and said, I don't care what you play, I'm playing cricket. Threw me the ball and said, bowl to me. And I said, well, how do you bowl? I was only 9 at that stage. And he said, just roll your arm over like this. So then I started bowling in the backyard, and then about 2 months later I joined the local cricket side, the Oak Flats Rats, down on the south coast, and just fell in love with fast bowling.
We had a really long driveway at home, and being the oldest brother, I was always the one who batted first, and threw about the tennis ball at a young age. One thing I do remember, he always had a really good action. He was always really short for his age at that stage, but a really good action, bowled pretty quick from pretty much from day one.
Before Brett Lee was selected for Australia, he won the Man of the Match award in a Sheffield Shield game for New South Wales in Perth. His devastatingly quick bowling in the game will live forever in the memory of those who took part.
I had pretty good guys to try and impress. That Steve Waugh was captain for the New South Wales team. Michael Slater, Mark Ward, the whole boys were in there watching, so I thought it'd be a pretty good chance to try and impress the Australian captain. And I was bowling with the wind, with the Fremantle doctor behind me, had the second brand new ball, and things just happen sometimes, and the body felt really good. There's a slight breeze behind me. The wicket had a lot of carry, the ball was going through pretty well, so a whole different lot of factors contributed to the whole mental thing of I felt like it was coming out quick, and I remember sort of Brad Haddon saying that's the fastest he's ever seen keeping-wise, and he's kept it to me for quite a few years now, and he'd definitely put that up there with the quickest he's seen. So it's just at that stage where there's a few wickets falling too. So once you get a couple of wickets, you tend to bowl a little bit quicker the next ball, and get pretty excited.
And that's the quickest I'd ever seen a bowler bowl, and the least time I've ever seen a batsman have to react to a ball. And the Western Australian coach at the time actually said he was scared for his batsman walking out there. And Brett broke Joe Angel's arm that day, and that's as nasty or as fast as I've ever seen a bowler bowl.
Brett's rise in world cricket has coincided with that of Shoaib Akhtar, the Rawalpindi Express.
Oh, he's knocked him over. What a ripper, what a good piece of bowling. 151.1.
When Brett Lee set a new personal benchmark of 157 kilometres an hour in 2002, Shoaib responded with several faster deliveries, one being timed at 159.9, a mere 1.1 kilometre an hour shy of the magical 100-mile-an-hour barrier. The two speedsters seem to be taking inspiration from each other.
We're great mates, and we've been pretty good friends for the last 5 or so years. Shoaib came out and played a few games for Mossman, which is my local club here in Sydney. But I think the first time that I heard about Shoaib Akhtar, we just finished playing a first grade game for Mossman, so the guys had gone up back to the club for a couple of quiet ones after the match, and remember watching on Foxtel and watching the bowlers running and bowling pretty quick, and then there's a huge buzz and everyone's saying, who's this Shoaib Akhtar guy? Because he's got the batsman jumping around everywhere and he's bowling really quick. So I took a few mental notes and thought, Akhtar, he's got some serious pace. And then as he grew more in stature and become a bit more confident, he just started to bowl really quick, and he's bowling 150s each time he's bowling. So I thought, this guy's a really good chance of breaking the 160. So I was pretty honoured and proud to meet him, and we just clicked straight away. Obviously we had a few things in common. We both love bowling fast, and there's times then when he actually flew out to Australia, and we caught up and had a bit of a feed and a bit of a chat, and we shared a few different things about fast bowling, and I've learned a lot off him, and hopefully he's learned a little bit off me about bowling. And
I think Brett is one of the a good thing happened to Australian cricket, and I just wish him best of luck, and I just wish him to perform well, keep him performing well. He's been bowling well for the last year or so, and his end of the day matters lots as a record, and your name in the books. If you've got more than 300 wickets in Test cricket, that's people's going to remember. Then, oh yes, Brett was a fastest bowler, or Shoaib was a fastest bowler, and I'm not worried about that thing. If someone's going to come along the line and the road, like someone's tried to cross the 161 at the day, and I'll be happy for him. I'll be the first person to congratulate him. So I'm not, as I said, I'm not a jealous person, and I'm not looking for any rivalries. I just want to perform. I just want to enjoy my cricket. I love playing cricket. I love playing for my country, and I'm just trying to be a best servant of my country and to the game. And whoever is doing the best, I'm always happy for them.
I remember playing at the Colonial Series, like a one-day comp, and I've gone to bat, and there's a huge crowd, and it's pretty noisy out there, and sort of facing up, and they tell you a tip about facing a fast bowler is that you don't try and watch him run in, because if you watch a fast bowler running in the whole way, then you see him running in and you're thinking, oh geez, he's getting closer, he's getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and then they just worry about the bowler, not worry about the ball coming down. So the best batsmen who face fast bowling tend to have their head down the whole time, have like a bit of a count, because they know bowlers run up, and then run up just as he's about to jump, and then you can switch on then and then watch the ball. me being not a known batsman, I've got into the face of the first ball and he's gone, bing up, bouncer. And I've gone like, what? And he's looked up again, he's going like this, straight in my head.
And he's pointing to his head. Here he comes.
I thought, well, he's either going to go two ways. He's either going to try and do the reverse Malachi, we call it, when the batsman says or a bowler says he's going to do something, does the other thing. So I'm thinking, definitely going to be a Yorker here. He's going to try and knock me over first ball, try and get me going away. I think it's going to be a short ball. And sure enough, it was a big Yorker straight in. I missed him straight on the bridge of the foot. Hurt me a lot. But yeah, I mean, that was a pretty scary moment too. But yeah, there's times when I've been bowling to him and I actually bounced him that game prior to him bowling to me, so I knew that there was going to be something quick coming at me.
Yes, the second match, yeah, I remember that. I just was joking with him and I just tried to scare him. I was going to pitch a bouncer because he's not a scared person at all. So he loves to take challenges and I just was a kind of joke rather than anything else. So I just tried to bowl Yorker to him and I just deceived him, but didn't get a wicket. But on the other hand, my friend Andy Bickle, he gave me a wicket so easily, so I was far happier than anything else.
Oh, he's knocked him over. That's what good fast bowlers do. Dead straight, 8 for 163.
He's one of the great favourites in world cricket, especially amongst the girls. I mean, he's the most incredible character. Flamboyant, doesn't know, he's so enthusiastic. You could see him when he gets involved in interviews and things, he doesn't know where to stop talking. I mean, he just gets so excited. And so when he gets going out in the centre, you can see him build up. You can see the frustration written all over him when he doesn't quite get it all together, because he's not quite, I don't think, as rhythmic as Brett Lee. He needs to be warm, sweaty, before it really starts to happen for him. But he's a great fast bowler and very, very exciting to watch.
I just do my job and I just always enjoy crowd, and I always be nice to the crowd. I never had a tough time in Australia and I never had any tough time anywhere else in the world, and I always enjoy it. I enjoy my bowling, enjoy myself. I just try to make most of it myself because I just want to play my cricket. I just want to serve the best of my country. I just want to be greatest service of my country as long as I can play for my country. I just want to be out there, enjoy myself, enjoy it properly, and do my job properly, and just enjoy it all together. And that's my aim is, and I'm just taking each day as it comes.
He's a naturally gifted athlete for a start. I mean, he never started bowling fast about 18, 19 years of age. He is hypermobile in every joint of his body. We took him to a trauma specialist in England who measured all this hypermobility, and it's not just in his shoulder or his elbow or whatever, it's all over his body. And I think it's just that little bit of extra extension that he gets because of this hypermobility that gives him that extra little lever, if you like, to be able to bowl as quick as he. Brett Lee, I think, has just got a beautiful action. He's strong. He's beautiful rhythm in his bowling, and he's just an out-and-out, very good power athlete.
Well, that's a very quick bouncer and a very accurate one. All it brings is a smile.
I always admire lots of Australian batsmen because they are used to fast bowling and they're never scared. I don't know deep side and heart in the heart like what they feel like, but you shows a bit of character to me and shows a bit of character to other bowlers.
Oh, that was quick, and it really climbed. A terrific take by Moeen Khan.
I was standing at the non-strikers end when Ricky faced an over from Shoaib Akhtar, which must have been, Jeff Thompson, they tell me, used to bowl like the wind, but must have been the fastest over ever bowled in Test history. It was unbelievable. I was at the other end giggling and sort of chuckling at Ricky, who was almost got to a stage where he thought, this is so quick. He had a smile back. Usually you'd be all tense and pumped, but he was having a smile because that one over from Akhtar, bowling with the sea breeze behind him at the whack on a fast bouncy wicket, was as quick as I've seen in a game of cricket, I think.
And once again, a climber.
That's when it's nice to be up here in the commentary box and not out there with a green helmet on.
For 28 years, Jeff Thompson's 160.45 km/h delivery, just shy of 100 miles an hour, had been recognised as the fastest ever recorded. The big question in world cricket was, could anyone exceed it? Moreover, could anyone break cricket's metaphorical 4-minute mile, the 100-mile-an-hour barrier? The 2003 World Cup in South Africa seemed the ideal arena for a showdown between the kings of speed.
I still state that I'd much rather take 5 wickets than bowl 160 because, you know, it's great to bowl fast, but there's no point in bowling fast if you can't bowl that right line length. And there's no reason to why you can't bowl fast and bowl controlled too. But, I mean, that was a major goal, and that was a goal that I had during the World Cup. I knew that I felt pretty fit. It's probably the fittest I've felt over the last probably 2 or 3 years. So mentally I was strong. I felt very sort of physically strong. It was at that stage where I was bowling and, you know, things just felt great. And I thought that one came out pretty good, and they came up about 150 odd my first over. And I thought, well, bowling with a brand new ball too helps pace a little bit. And then bowled the next ball 154, so kept climbing. And I thought, well, if there's ever a chance to bowl 160, this is definitely it. So I didn't really want to sort of push it too much, because if I was trying to bowl too fast, then your pace tends to drop a fair bit. So I thought, just keep going through my checkpoints. Obviously, keep bowling that right line length to try and take wickets. That's what I'm here for. But if I stay nice and tall, keep my front arm up nice and high and pull down nice and hard, then it might happen. Then I looked up and 158, and I thought, oh, well, that's the quickest I've ever bowled so far. So, and I haven't really even tried to sort of crank one up at full pace yet.
Just short of 160, that last delivery, just short of 160 k's. Look at that, fastest ball, 159.9.
So I thought, well, there's a chance here of having a crack at it, and then I bowled one ball. I thought that felt pretty good. Looked up and said 160.
Oh, he's got that way off his thigh pad, I think. Down to fine leg for one.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great feeling to bowl at 160, and I thought, well, this is amazing. You know, I've broken that 160 barrier, so I went back down to fine leg, and they all cheered me, which was a very special moment. But I'd definitely sort of say that deep down inside, you know, I've always wanted to break that 160 barrier, because it's been a dream of mine since I was 10 years old to try and be the world's fastest bowler. If you go and ask my mother, she said I've always wanted 2 things growing up, and one was to play cricket for Australia, and one was to be the world's fastest bowler. So it was a very special moment to achieve that 160 barrier.
Oh, and that's a good ball. That's a very good ball. It's gone flying away over the top of Ponty. Oh boy, that one certainly did take off.
Brett Lee had achieved his own personal best with 160.7, but Shoaib went even faster, 161.3, or 100.2 miles an hour, the first bowler ever to be recorded at more than 100 miles an hour.
Very quick from Shoaib Akhtar, an excellent over, and maiden from that speedster. 4 overs gone, 100.2 miles an hour. Brilliant stuff. England 7 for 1.
I was there with Pakistan at the World Cup. I was there as a fast bowling advisor to them, and that particular day where we were at Cape Town, and Akhtar decided that he was going to let rip, but he 1 for 60, I think, or none for 60. He might have got 1 wicket, but off his 8 or 9 overs wasn't very good return. So speed is not necessarily, particularly in the one-day game, the absolute be-all and end-all. You know, put a bit of bat on, a bit of speed, and it gathers pace, and you can go for quite a few runs. So Shoaib wasn't, I mean, he was happy he bowled that fast delivery on that particular occasion, broke the 100-mile-an-hour barrier, but, you know, his absolute figures in that game were pretty horrendous.
Here he comes again.
That's gone in the air, but it'll end up safe. In fact, it's gone all the way 6, top edge, with extreme pace.
I was feeling good. I thought this is a day, just finish it once for all. But unfortunately, I crossed 100 miles. But unfortunately, I didn't bowl good in last 2-3 overs, which I should have bowled good, and given away a couple of runs. Well, then in the day, I just didn't really enjoy it the way I should. But well, something needs to be done, and something has to be done, and I crossed it. I've done it, and it's finished once for all now. And now I'm just going out there and just enjoy myself by performing a lot.
Oh, and he's bowled him, leg stump.
I think it's having a huge impact on kids. I think we've seen in Australia kids go from bowling leg spin and having blonde hair to now looking to bowl fast and rip it down the pitch. So I think it's having an impact not only in the current top level cricketing ranks, but right down to the grassroots level.
I think it's a great thing for cricket. I mean, I think there's some other boys around the world that are going to give a bit of a shake as well. I think, they're naturally gifted athletes and very powerful athletes. They've got the benefit these days of a lot of strength training and power training. And, I think it's only going to improve. I don't think they'll bowl all that much quicker than what they're bowling at the moment, but I think there'll be a lot of bowlers up and around that mark over the next few years.
We almost forgot about the quick man for a while there, but it's probably been a resurgence in recent times with people like Shoaib Akhtar and Brett Lee that have once again, we're probably almost going back to the 70s where they've made running in at top pace, longish hair, snarls on the face, short pitch bowling. They've made that much more fashionable again. There's a lot of kids out there I know now who want to be Brett Lees where maybe 5 or 10 years ago they wanted to be Shane Warne.
They've got over the Warney bit, I think, with the leg spin and the wronging and dreaming up new balls and mystery balls and all this garbage, you know what I mean? Warney's a good player, got a great bowler and all that, but I mean, spin bowling, you're never going to get hurt with a spinner bowling at you. I mean, when I used to play, I couldn't believe my luck when I go out there and somebody bowl a spinner to me. Oh, happy birthday, So fast bowlers, it's a different kettle of fish, It's like hopping in a race car compared to hopping in a Morris 1000.
That was a good one, and he couldn't have been that far from his stumps either.
This has been another presentation from Nine's Wide World of Sports.